Hey guys, this is Desconfiado, and I want to continue our Helicoptero series this week with the next step in the prerequisite chain. So we've already gone over ao de frente or card axe, and now we're taking the next step to meia lua reversão, or reversão, or as trickers call it, just reversao. So for the rest of this video, I'm going to be referring to it as reversão because it's the proper term in capoeira that I know. So before you start with Reversao, I highly recommend that you have good control over your ao de frente, and you also have a very strong meia lua de compasso, or compasso or compass kick, as trickers call it. We're going to be using these fundamentals in order to step up into our Reversao. So there's a couple different ways of approaching this movement, and I'm going to share you the few different avenues that I've had success with in teaching people this movement. The first is just starting from the floor. This is a very basic exercise to get the pattern of your legs and your hands when you're in this movement. So we're going to start in a very low lunge, and your goal is to get back to the same lunge by passing through the kind of Reversao axis. So I'm going to be leading with my back leg over the side or over the top, wherever you're comfortable with, and trying to land back foot, then front foot, putting weight into my hands as I pass through them. The most important thing here is the order in which your legs land. It has to go back foot, then front foot. And as you get more comfortable with this movement, what you're going to want to do is try to push your hips higher and higher. And you're going to do that by putting more weight in your hands, driving a little more up with your leg, and you'll see that this slowly turns into pretty much the full Reversao movement. Now this exercise alone is not enough. For some people it works, but it's, I think, a good stepping stone in order to understand the pattern. Another good fundamental exercise in understanding how Reversao works is by using our meia lua de compasso, or our compasso. So I'm going to very slowly kick this kick over my target, and at the very end, instead of bringing it back to the ground, I'm going to do a small hop onto that kicking leg. I won't really be able to stand up from this because I'm going to be very stretched out, but the important thing is I'm breaking contact with the ground with my base leg and landing on that kicking leg, because that is going to be, again, the same pattern that we use in our final Reversao. Play with this exercise, feel out how it feels, and try to think about how we're going to transition this to our future exercises. So once you have a feel for both of these exercises, what you're essentially going to want to do is combine them. You're going to combine the beginning of your meia lua de compasso drill with that ending feeling of putting weight into your hands and landing on the other side, back leg first, then front leg, which in this case will be kicking leg first, then the other leg. So this will start to get you over the top and into kind of like a baby version of the Reversao. So there's a lot of common mistakes with this movement that prevent people from getting from this stage where we're at now, where we have kind of like a baby Reversao, into the really full, nice, arched, landing high, able to do other things out of it movement. And they basically come in a few packages. First is where you're looking. Most people, as they land, their head snaps up to try to look at their feet or try to look at their legs. So where we look has a big effect on the shape of our body, primarily our spine. If we look down, our spine wants to round. And if we look up, our spine wants to arch. This movement is completely dependent on our spine arching. It has to arch so that we can reach back behind us and land to stand up. If our body rounds, we're not going to be able to reach the ground in time and we're going to fall. Or we're going to land so low that we can't really do anything out of it. So what I like to do is pick a target in front of me and look at it from the very start of the movement all the way until the moment my foot touches the ground. That makes sure that my head is up and my back is arched throughout the entirety of the movement. Another common mistake is leaving both hands on the ground for far too long. So again, we need to reach behind us to land nice and close so we can stand up and do something else out of it. If I leave both of my hands down, that's going to lock my chest into facing the ground. And it's going to be very hard for me to contort my body around to land where I need to. So as I pass through the movement, basically as I pass through the peak of where my legs are going to be, I need to push off onto my second hand. If I'm going to my left, it's my right hand. If I'm going to my right, it's my left hand. That is going to let my chest open up and make it much easier for my leg to reach behind me and into the ground. I did a video earlier on how to stand up out of these movements, because standing up is a really difficult part. That's where most people spend the most time. So watch that video if you haven't already. It talks about this exact thing, about letting go, opening your chest, but on top of that, pushing aggressively against the ground so you get off of your hands and onto your feet. And one final mistake that some people make is the direction of where your kick is going. So in the first exercise, we were doing our regular meia lua de Compasso, which is going kind of across, which is really, we're just doing that to start. That's not how you want to do the final movement. And I think there's a lot of people who do that and they end up really stretched out, and it's a big struggle to stand up. Once you understand the landing pattern, once you understand where you're supposed to be and where to look and how to position your arms, you want to try to kick more over the top. So I'm setting up like I'm going across, but I'm thinking of driving my leg directly over myself, away from where my target is. The reason I do this is it's much easier to stand up if everything lands close and right under my center of mass. If I have my hands way far from my feet, I'm very stretched out, I don't have much leverage, and I'm either going to fall or I'm going to struggle a lot to stand up, and basically my sequence, my combo is over. So I want to kick over the top, really try to land and reach my leg as close to my planted hand as I can, so that everything is centered and it's very easy for me to stand up. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments. And if you want to see more of this series and more of this content, please like, share, and subscribe. I have a lot more coming, and I just want to help you guys understand these really complex capoeira movements that I see a lot of people struggle with. So thanks for listening through, guys, and I'll see you next time.